Greetings, my name is Ari Nessel. I'm here with my co-founder of the Pollination Project, Stephanie Klempner, on what is our 9th anniversary after having given out nearly 5,000 grants in over 120 countries. As we reflect upon the past 9 years and what's evolved from what was a handful of people sitting around a table, often virtual, thinking about how we can play some small role in the evolution of humanity and support the realization that everyone's life matters, that we all have a role to play in making this world a more compassionate, kind, generous, sustainable place for all beings.
I remember when we first decided to do this, it was after you were in New York City in my apartment and you came up to me and you said, "Hey Steffi, do you want to give away $1,000 a day with me?" And I was like, "You could do that?" And you said, "Yep." And I said, "Yeah, I would love to." And I didn't know exactly what the vision was at the time, and I thought we were going to be writing a check a day to different organizations that were meaningful to us. And you said, "No, I've personally been inspired by individuals at a grassroots level making impact in their community, and that's who I want to fund, people that may otherwise not get any funding." And so maybe you could share with me why you thought about that's who we would fund as opposed to these larger organizations and what inspired you.
Well, I was dramatically affected by one person who had almost no financial resources, but planted a seed in my heart. When I was barely a teenager, I was visiting Southern California, walking down this path along the ocean. And this man had all this information out. And it laid out the ways that animals are raised, mutilated, and slaughtered for food. And after, 20, 30 minutes of reading, maybe less, my parents said, "Come on, all right, time to go." And I said, "Thank you. Have a good day, sir." I left seemingly unchanged. 10 years later, I come back to that same spot, and I'm walking down there, and I see the same guy. Something clicks. And I'm forever changed. I get it in a way I never got it before. And my life is transformed because it was an invitation for me to reevaluate everything I do, because everything I do has a ripple. And so this one man with some magic markers totally transformed my life, and my life was never the same after that. And so that man, who I got to know later on, his name was Jingles, he went by, was my inspiration for what one person can do with very few money but lots of dedication. Mm-hmm. And I knew that there are millions and billions of people that can be like Jingles was to me, to inspire one other person. And if we play that out, one person inspiring one person, that person inspiring another person, and it doubles and doubles, pretty soon it's everyone.
When we first started, I don't know if you remember our process, when we first started looking at grantees, we didn't have that many applications. It was not that many people knew of us at the time. And the first one that we funded, I think as we sat around in our small group to make these decisions, we were really excited about. And one of the reasons we were really excited was because it was a project that we never imagined we would have seen. We never imagined we would have funded, and we knew that there was probably nobody else who was going to fund this project. And her name was Alex, and the project was called the Taft Sex Squad. She was doing a performance in high school where she was advocating using safe sex measurements to help reduce teen pregnancies in the school, and she went on to become an activist in the community and marching in different venues to promote the same message.
And I think for us, what we really loved about it was a few things. First of all, funding someone who's youth, which is like all these people with great vitality and great ideas and who have a lot more time than, quite frankly, people who are trying to earn a livelihood. Secondly, it was on a subject matter that was sort of uncomfortable, I think, for a lot of foundations. And so it sort of laid the groundwork for us to work on things and support people and projects that no one else probably would likely touch.
Pollinating somebody at that age and planting seeds of support for them and seeing how, if you have this wild and crazy idea for how to make the world a better place, and you find a foundation that will support you when you think that nobody will support you and nobody will believe in you, builds a lifelong activist.
Is there, as you've seen like over this last 9 years, our evolution, what have you seen like are some of the lessons learned and how that's changed the way we think about who to fund and how we fund?
We're looking at the individual, not just the project. So we're looking at individuals who we feel strongly are not only passionate about what they're doing and thinking about, will my budget be sustainable, and thinking about all of the things that would make a project good, but also someone that is rooted in what we refer to as a heartivist attitude. So having, working from a lens of compassion and seeing a broken world and seeing how they can fix it while, coming to that with kindness. What about you? What evolution have you seen?
Well, I think a big part of what you're saying is in that like heartivist orientation is really a collaborative approach is a big part of it. Like that they see that what they're doing is part of sort of a much broader movement. And so like, not how can I get what I'm looking to get done, but in the process of me doing it, can I bring people along? And how can I learn from other people who've been before me or in the other geographies? And then a lot of what you're saying is I think that we've seen through some early funding that a lot of people are really good at identifying problems. Some people focused on like how to amplify the problem and so people can see it, bring visibility to it, which has a lot of merit. Some people are more interested in amplifying how can they be a resource for a new way of thinking about the problems. Abraham Lincoln said, "Am I not defeating my enemies when I make them my friends?" And so sort of like that orientation, a little more of like, not what we're against, but what are we for?
So connected to that, what are you most excited about and where we're going?
Yeah. Well, now that we're like nearly 5,000 grantees, there is a large ecosystem that exists. And so over time, rather than focusing on all the individuals we've supported, finding ways to connect the dots amongst them and to really accentuate the fact that not only are they not alone, but they each can build off of the successes of each other. So that when they connect with one another around the world, the idea is to bring it back to what our roots are, which is localism, is be the change for the community you live in, where you have unique insights about the culture, about the unmet needs, about the skills and capacities that are held specifically in your community.
When you first came to me with the idea to do this, it was a deep personal reason for you as well that maybe you could share a little bit more about, which was about your donations having meaning to you personally. So I'd love if you could maybe just talk a little bit about that.
Well, it felt to me that I thought I wanted our foundation and our grants to not feel like a cog in the wheel of like some industrial philanthropic complex. Just like that first example of the Taft Sex Squad. If we didn't give that grant, no one was given that grant. It wasn't going to happen. These sorts of things are not funded. And so I really wanted to feel like in some ways that like we are playing some unique role that no one else was playing. And then also for me, there's a part of wanting to feel more intimacy with my giving. That I'd heard stories, I learned about like how that small amount of funding of financial capital was matched by enormous amounts more of time capital, of knowledge capital, of social capital.
Initially, it made sense. We had a small team, and we also wanted to feel a deep connection to what we were doing, to read through everything. Over time, we realized that a best practice would really be to have individuals who were in those areas and who had more expertise in those areas to be making the decisions on grantees.
It's community-led in that way, because it's people from the relevant geographies who are making the decisions, not someone from some far-off place.
Yeah.
As you may recall, when we started, the idea was $1,000 a day, but it didn't need to be $1,000 a day. We were just reevaluating, should it be more, should it be less? What's special to you about $1,000? Why does that number matter?
It was enough to not necessarily get someone from A to Z, but get them from A to B. And to get somebody who had an idea in their head, potentially, to make it action in the world. And it was enough to get them started. And time after time, grantees say to us that you showed me that you believed in me, and so I could believe in myself. And that's what that $1,000 did. Tell me, for you, what are you most proud of after all these years of being a part of the Pollination Project?
In so many ways, I feel I've been gifted resources that I did nothing to earn. A life, I live in a country where my susceptibility to violence is limited, where I've had access to financial resources, to education, to loving parents. Really just a very supportive environment with a sense of unworthiness to how did I get this when I see people around the world aren't given that, and just by nature of where they were born, at what time they were born in the world. And so the gift that the Pollination Project really is given to me that I'm not just proud of, but it's a feeling of meaning, is that I've been able to, in some ways I feel like I'm paying it forward. Something that I know that was never mine to keep.
The impact that this makes on the lives of an individual, and not just the work that they're doing in the world, but to that person. And I've had the opportunity to talk to so many of our grantees, and I am moved to tears constantly. And they're expressing so much gratitude to me, which I feel so humbled because it has nothing to do with me. And to know that we have, almost 5,000 and growing individuals who directly are having that experience, and then everyone that they touch, it's just this ripple effect. So when we first started this, we basically did most things with a very small group of volunteers, 1 or 2 staff members, and that was really it. And now we have this huge community. We have a staff, we have grantees, we have advisors.
Yeah, I just feel grateful. I'm grateful that I feel so small as part of what the Pollination Project is. But it's so much bigger than you and I.
In many ways, I feel like my dreams have come true. There are so many individuals on our staff that are brilliant, that come up with new ideas and have new visions. And we have this amazing group of grantees who not only are doing this amazing work in the world, but are also supporting our other grantees. And it's a dream. And I have so much gratitude for all of these people who really give me hope and make me just see that this world in many ways can transform to be a better, more compassionate place.